Good evening, John Wertz here, here with Thomas Belinoski, and he is the incumbent for the City of Willis City Council position 3.
Right.
And with me tonight are Billy Graff, James Byers, Bob Bagley, Pat Tibbs, and Dennis Tibbs. And as we talked about earlier, welcome.
Right.
And yes, sir. If you'd like to go ahead and start and with a up to 5-minute opening, and then we'll do the Q&A after that, and then wrap it up.
I'm Thomas Belinoski. I'm 73 years old. I'm a lifelong resident of Willis. I was born in Huntsville, Texas. I'm married to my wife Brenda, 49 years. I have 2 children. My daughter is a dietitian at Willis ISD. She was assistant principal for Spring for 15 years. My son, Tony, he's chief appraiser for Montgomery County. You know, a lot of people say, I say, well, you know, he's come up through the ranks, so I'm very proud of both of them. I have 2 granddaughters. They're spoiled rotten, but that's my fault. You know, like I've told my kids, I can spoil them and send them home. You know,
Very good.
You know, I've seen Willis make a lot of changes. You know, it's went from a small town, it's getting bigger and bigger, but that's, as y'all know, that's everywhere around here. We have a lot of development going on to the north of us. You know, I've seen a lot of changes. I was employed for Blair's for 15 years. The last 18 years while I was butchering, I was here at Conroe Sam, meat manager for them. I was fortunate enough to stay at that club. Usually they don't keep a manager at one club that long. They move around, you know. You know, I feel like I've done a good job for the people of Willis. I hope. I've served for 20 years on the council. You know, and I hope I've done a good job for them. I haven't. You're gonna have complaints, people. You know, it's kind of a funny story. My daughter said, "Dad, she was gonna run for school board," and I said, "Well, you know, I've got woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning, people knocking on the door, bitching, excuse me, complaining about stuff, you know." So I said, "You just gotta learn to listen and you know, do what you can." And that's about it. I hope to serve another term with them. I have truly enjoyed it. We have had a lot of changes with our personnel. You know, I think city managers and public works directors and that, you know, they move around a lot. We were fortunate enough to have Hector Foster for a 10-year period. So he did a good job. The gentleman that's there now is doing a good job. You know, he hired a financial manager. Like I said, we're growing. I can remember when we didn't have a city manager. Our police chief was acting city manager and people said, the council told me, "We don't need a city manager." I said, "Yes, we do need one." You know, so, you know, I hope I've kind of covered everything, but I'm proud of Willis. I mean, it's a small town. We have a lot of old people there, and myself included. But everybody tries to get along, you know, and no matter where you're at, you're gonna have different things, you know, different problems. You know, the growth has just got to be, the traffic has got to be a nightmare. So, you know, that's about it, you know, unless y'all have something you.
Yeah, who's the city, thank you for that. Who's the city manager?
Robert Evans.
Robert Evans. How long has he been there?
He'll be there 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yes.
Where did he come from?
Up near Austin.
And had you been a city manager around there?
Yes, sir.
before?
Yes, sir.
In Austin, or is it?
Well, it's
satellite?
Yes, sir.
community?
It's a satellite community around there.
Okay. Alrighty, and so you were a lifelong resident, born in Huntsville, right?
Yes, sir.
So the 3 priorities that you see are street repair, water and sewer expansion, and annexation. expanding the city limits, what's the current occupancy of the existing ETJ right now? Is it 50%, is it 75% full? And there needs to be growth to accommodate, or expansion to accommodate the growth?
Yes, sir, what you're saying would be great. We were a general law city, and we became a whole room city a number of years ago. And when we did, we were able to annex, like we've just annexed up north on 75, basically all the way to Shepherd Hill. We've just run water and sewer up past Calvary Road to the Majestic Pines. It's one of the benefits of a home rule charter. You can kind of annex without people asking or joining you, having the land joining the city limits. We've had some people out east of Willis on 1097 that's asked to be annexed. We have a development going out there. Mr. and Miss Lester have requested to annex 27 acres. They want to put in an RV park out there. The ETJ, we're kind of locked. Conroe's kind of went all around us. When it used to be strip annexing,
Yep.
I know some of y'all are familiar with that, when they could go out and strip annex a half mile. So we're kind of left to go north and east. And we're trying to provide services, but lift stations and cost so much, you're looking at basically for a small one, $275,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. But what you're asking in the population of ETJ, we have about 6,100 people in our in the city limits of Willis. That's not all of them vote. Most we've ever voted, 763 people. Mm-hmm. We do good to get 150 of them out to vote. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds odd. I don't know. Everything's been tried. But the ETJ, I would say the population, what we can have in our ETJ, it's probably going to be 50% outside our city limits, easy. Because everything that's starting to grow, we have a big development, Republic Grand Ranch is fixing to build on 1097 across Caney Creek. They're part of Texas Grand Ranch. So you look at everything that's coming to the area, traffic congestion is a nightmare up there, no matter what.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it sounds to me like infrastructure is one of you guys' priorities.
Yes,
Why don't you talk to us a little bit about your ideas and direction that you think the council is moving or needs to move in the area of infrastructure for all this growth?
well, we're trying to get everything that we can done to our streets. The streets are getting aged. We do what we can with what's available. As far as the prime example, we've been talking to the state about 1097 coming in east. It makes L to go to 1097, and with all the development going out there, we're hoping they can, between the county and us and everything, we can work out something coming over the railroad track without having to build an overpass, because it's right there in town. It's not, I would say it's not enough room, because we're less than the width to the other side of the courthouse, where it is. The streets are the main thing. The water and sewer, we've just finished upgrading our sewer plant. We've run the water and sewer lines north of Willis, all the way to Calvary Road. And that's been one thing. We've done whatever we can feasibly do through grants and bond issues, So we are, our bond rating is a B2, BAA2. So, I think that's pretty fair for a town our size. I'm sure y'all have heard that Fidelis is fixing to start on the Moran property there, where hopefully they'll help us, since we're generating some new business and that, they may come out with some ideas to help us out.
All right.
What was the bond rating again?
B2?
A B2, B2, AA2. B has two little A's in it. It's basically a B2.
Oh, okay.
briefly, right at the beginning, first, there's there's federal money available for the traffic concerns that you're experiencing, but I believe your city would also have to go through the HGAC. And that's a bit of a quagmire. We have people that can help you with that.
Okay,
Not looking for, no contractors, this is free information.
okay.
My question is, I listed our county commissioners and other city council people. Usually when they're running for office, not as an incumbent normally, but usually there's something new they're promising, the taxpayers. A new park or a new something that's going to be another expenditure of tax dollars. And I hear our county commissioners talk about how they really were promoting a particular business to come into the area. Because see, what that does is it increases the valuation of the property so that they can have increased tax proceeds. It's almost like they think that the role of the government is like a business selling their goods. City government is trying to sell appraisals or real estate. What do you think is the proper role of the Willis city government in regards to obtaining tax proceeds or funds?
I think to entice the businesses that we can get there that generate a tax dollar, our sales tax is 2.2 million, and our property tax is 2.2, and our sales tax 2.4. What's helped us there is Kroger with the center across the street. Trying to keep the people, and no offense to Conroe, from driving to Conroe. We've got a lot of things going for us now. I understand the Loves have bought some more property. They're going to expand their facility for parking there. They jam up where they're at. I can remember when people were saying, we don't need a Loves. We don't need a truck stop. It generates dollars, in the burger places.
Now, are they coming because the city council went out and actively sought them to come, or they just decided that was a good location, or how
the
that
city
happened?
council, a number of years ago, we were approached about them coming to Willis. Loves coming to Willis. They wanted to come in on the east side of the freeway where Holiday RV is, where Holiday. Well, we had a lot of opposition from the citizens that live there by the school and that. They were saying, no, we don't want it on that side.
Because of traffic or something?
No, they said
They don't like truck drivers?
it brought bad things, in other words. And everybody's got their own idea.
Yeah.
So they bought the property on the west side of the freeway there at Long Street. And I think, to be honest with you, they didn't expect it to do as good as it's done for them. Their parking lot is full. I've been told that, normally they let trucks stay there 2 hours, 3 hours, but they've cut them back so they can bring them in and out. And I know the truckers can only drive so many hours. That's been one good thing for us. Holiday RV has helped. We've got Southern Tractor. She's building an Ace Hardware next to her tractor dealer there on the Freeter. So we're starting to get more and more business. I visit with the people there at Tractor Supply, and I think they're surprised at the amount of business they're doing. So anything that we can entice a small business or something to come that can generate, it helps us to try to get some of the stuff done in the city. As far as streets and sewer and that. We have a lot of elderly people, so we drilled the 2 Catahoula wells, so our water rates are still. That cost a lot of money. That Catahoula well was a high opening deal.
Real quick, how much was that? Under 5 million or over?
It was close to, the two went together was close to 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, they're deep.
Compared to Lake Conroe and
Yes.
SJRA?
Yeah. But they are serving their purpose. A lot of people says it's funny to have to turn on your cold water in the summer and you can feel it being warm, but we've got the cooling towers and everything that's been put in. This freeze didn't help us. It was amazing what it could do, you know, so, that's it. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
So I want to go back to the annexation part. The state legislature, a few years back, maybe 10 years back, changed the law so that if you were outside the city limits and in the ETJ and you wanted to become part of the city, you would petition the city and the city would either say yes or no. And then because of lobbying from municipalities, they changed the law so that it was automatic. If the city government wanted to go ahead and annex you, you didn't have any choice. They were gonna do it, and that's what they've done. And Conroe did it, and Houston did a lot of it. So when you were talking about annexing this property that's going up north, was the law now has changed so that they have to vote on it in order to become annexed. So did this take place in this new move that y'all did for the property going on for?
This was prior to, I think, asking where they had to be voted.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not positive, but I know everything. Right now, the people that were annexed and are asked, and it joins our city limits, you know, so. We have one piece of property there in town. The people never wanted to be annexed. We've never forced them.
Okay.
It's probably 4 or 5 acres at the most, you know.
So are you against forced annexation then?
You know, I don't feel like we should go out there, if you've got a big piece of property and you don't wanna bring it in, you have your reasons. I'm not gonna say I'm against it, but I'm not gonna say I'm for it. It would depend on if it benefits you or if it benefits both parties, you know. I don't know if that makes sense to you, what I'm saying there.
Somewhat. So if it doesn't benefit the property owner, but it benefits the city, are you for forcing it? Or?
You kind of I look at it like this, okay? If they're wanting city utilities and that, you look at what the water rates are going, what amount of water rates and sewer rate, what is revenue it's going to bring and taxes, and kind of compare. You know, if they don't want to be annexed, if they're willing to pay the double rate outside the city limits, you know.
Well, with 4 acres, they could legally have a well and a septic.
It's grandfathered in. I mean,
And so they don't need
Yeah.
anything the city's providing.
You know, but if their well goes down or something, then, well, you're gonna have to come into the city. It's just like anything that was up north of Willis, up on 75, that had wells and sewer, and septic systems. If it continues, but if it goes down, they have to hook onto our deals.
That's law? That's city law or what?
Well,
It's not state law.
no, but it's the way the right of way, and that's, we kind of
Well,
generate.
so then this forced annexation then, so basically you
Yeah.
are for it?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
thank you.
But real quick, you sell water and sewer to people who are not in the city?
It's a double rate is what it is,
Okay.
okay? Basically, you know, I think any municipality, I think Conroe even does it, I'm not positive for it, but water and sewer outside normally is a double.
We did that with our mud.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's normal.
You've been in office 20 years?
yes, sir.
20 consecutive years?
No, I was off a couple of years in there, and I've been beat, and then I didn't run, and a lady, Josie Belinoski, she was kin to me by marriage, I probably know. She moved to, and stepped down, well, they asked me to finish her term, and I said, I'll finish her term, if somebody runs, I'm not gonna run. Well, nobody run, so I've still been on there, and I thought about not running this year, but I changed my mind. I want to see if we can get some more things, you know. We've just, the CDC and that, we just got one of the city parks up, put a splash pad on it, and we have some other parks that we're gonna try and improve, you know. Like I said, we have some things. Street is the main thing, you know, our streets need to be really brought up to standards because the traffic is getting so many.
Your 2-year term?
Yes, sir.
So out of those, 10 terms, how many times was there somebody running against you?
3 times that I
Yeah,
can remember.
Okay. So in terms of term limits, you think there should be term limits? It sounds like maybe there's not enough people that wanted it, huh?
It's-
Way there were.
I don't have nothing against term limits. Sometimes people get dormant. It may not be the right word to use. I've tried to keep an open mind, listen to what the people ask or say. Term limit's not bad, but I look, it takes a good year and a half for a new councilman to learn what's going on. They're not gonna learn it in the first 6 months. You know, I still learn things, and I've been on there a long time. So,
Okay.
How much in street repair do you think is needed right now, dollar wise?
dollar wise, I couldn't give you a number, to be honest with you there. It's, we've tried to look at a long-term deal, and if we're able to do so many streets a year, we try to get them done. Like this year, they're fixing, trying to do 2 streets. We did 2 or 3 last year. Like
How many
Roger,
miles of that?
the one that goes from South Campbell from First Street coming in to 1097 is a mile, about a mile. And then on Rogers Road, we did that last year, year before last, from 75 to the city limits, to the ballpark, or to, yeah. So, and the county just finished rehabbing Rogers Road the rest of the way coming into town.
So you're talking a couple, 3 miles a
Yeah.
year then?
Yeah.
And how many overall street miles are there within the city limit?
I would say it would be close to 7,500 miles. You know, if you-
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's gonna take a while to get all
Yeah.
that done if it's
Yeah,
all.
and some of them, I guess what I'm saying, some of them are a lot worse. They're so heavy,
Sure.
north and south, yeah, and it just depends on the area. You know, like, yeah, I live in what we call the older part of town, and we're fortunate enough, that street was redone 2 years ago. And the contractor, he said, that was the best base he ever seen on you know, on a road in the city. We have some other streets that hasn't been fixed, and they ain't holding up. But, you know, I say sometimes it's the contractors, sometimes it could be a number of things, you know.
Okay.
Well, the base has a lot to do with it. If the base is bad, the road's gonna continue to be bad. So were they resurfacing or were they capping it?
No, they went in and
Grounded?
grounded,
Okay,
yeah,
resurfaced, okay.
resurfaced, so, that one. And we have one in Pin Oak that we redid that did not meet standards. We're working out something now. It was like I call it a scrub board, you know, when you drove over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could, so.
Obviously, it's going to be a very expensive 2 years, it sounds like, if you're able to accomplish even part of what you're trying to accomplish as a city. Do you anticipate, and if so, are you comfortable with raising taxes to those people who are there in order to accomplish those goals?
I don't like to see taxes go up. You know, sometimes it's a necessity. We're hoping with the new businesses that's fixing to come and that, you know, it'll generate some. And what's going there with Kroger, it's generating some good tax dollars. I'm not totally in favor of raising taxes, okay?
I understand.
Yeah.
But if, I've built roads before, and I know what they cost.
Yeah, they're
And they're
expensive.
a lot more expensive today than they were back when I was doing it, and so, in the event, there's nothing else you can do.
You may have to. you know, you may have to say, we need, but let's go to the voters and see, you know.
Would you, are you an advocate of reaching out to as many grant opportunities federally or statewide? Do y'all have a grant writer on the city?
Not the city, he does, it's Jay Rice.
Okay.
Okay, y'all may know him, he's been there a long time.
Mhm.
And our engineering firm helps us a lot, everything, it's Blind Associates, Blind Associates.
Is that Shenandoah?
John.
John Blind, and
John Bluff, okay.
they've helped us with a lot of things.
Okay.
Good man.
Yeah. Very, very knowledgeable of stuff.
I was looking at the, regarding zoning in Willis, and this is not unusual. Let me read a section of what they consider the purpose. To make and identify community values and standards which will guide the development of the city for the future. My question is, zoning we know can be a heinous thing, and a lot of times it's a needful thing in terms of traffic and that sort of thing. And you mentioned about love and so forth and the traffic problems you're having right now. At the same time, zoning is sometimes used at the disadvantage of the current property owner because maybe they're a resident not paying more, not paying as much as a business would, and you have a city come in with zoning and basically try to do condemnation and convert it into a bigger tax-paying entity. Other times zoning is used to restrict the type of businesses that can move in. So my question is, I'm asking about that last part. Do you think zoning is or should be used by Willis to keep certain types of businesses out? And if so, what type of businesses do you not want? I can name some if you like.
Well, I think I know what you're going to name, so. We have been very fortunate. We hadn't had any of the lingerie shops, and I remember y'all here in the city of Conroe had a lot of issues with it. Zoning probably is a good thing. We have commercial and residential, and then,
Where do churches fall in that? Is that commercial, residential, or special category, or what?
I really can't answer you on that, honestly.
Are bars treated differently than any other business in terms of them getting zoning approval?
Well, we hadn't had a bar ask.
No bars yet?
No, we've had a bunch of them close up, but I mean, we call
They
them
just drive to Conroe.
we call them beer joints, But you brought up a good question, and I can't answer you, to be honest with you on that.
Well, if they did come in, would the city aggressively try to shut down, well, here's a good one, human trafficking. We know that's a huge problem in our part of the country, and thank you, Mr. President Biden, for making it so much worse. But human trafficking, I heard someone say that in our county, it's everywhere, and so it's an organization that works with them, massage parlors, and I haven't really been looking to find out, but I'm wondering, have y'all had any issues with human trafficking that you should address?
No, not that I'm aware of. Not our police department or the chief hadn't said nothing about that. The problem, I guess, that we have more is the homeless people.
Huh.
I think all cities are having that issue now. They just, and what I've noticed is a lot of young people. It's not the older people, it's the younger ones. 20 years old, not over 30. And
But did they look like citizens or not?
No,
I don't tell, but.
yeah, no, they're homeless. You can see them. They're with backpacks. They walk down the street.
Interesting.
Or they're riding bicycles. Pulling a wagon. it's quite a few, you know, I think that's happening everywhere now. I don't have an answer for it, they try to keep control of it. You know, if we have problems with them in certain neighborhoods, they keep a closer eye on them, so, you know.
You mentioned splash pads. You also mentioned that there's, the priorities are taking care of the infrastructure and the water and the sewer and getting that done. Splash pads in parks are nice to have. But they're not a necessity.
No,
And I'm just wondering about priorities of the city council. If you have roads in disrepair, why would they be spending money
Well-
on splash pads rather than taking care of the roads and the infrastructure?
the CDC, Community Development, is the one that comes to us to approve. In the parks on Martin Luther King. And I was very hesitant on, you know, when they decided they wanted to put the splash pad in that in. But I did some driving around, I come looked at Conroe's over here, talked to some people. And my son and them live in Stuart Foster, he's took his daughter to the one that's over off of First Street and back in there. And my wife took the granddaughter, she's took her there. We have so many people saying, why don't we have more parks, you know, for the kids to play instead of playing out in the street? And
Do you not have schools that have parks and playgrounds?
yes, but, you know, I don't know why I've tried to emphasize, like, we take the granddaughter up to the school, she plays on the school swings.
Sure.
And
That's
yeah,
all we did when I was a kid.
Yeah, and, you know,
No.
but I guess everybody looks at it all different. You know, I think what it is, they look at the neighborhood they're in, they say, well, let's have a park, you know?
Across the street.
Yeah, across the street or something. And this is the first time, I keep a very close eye on how the park's being maintained and that, because there was a lot of money spent.
Yeah, we looked at one and it was like $500,000.
Yeah, oh yeah. You know.
And that's to build it, that's not to maintain it.
Yeah. You know, I think what they're trying to do, and please don't take this wrong, I think they're trying to compare the park areas to what's going on at the Woodlands Hill that they're building on 830, but you can't.
You can't do that. The taxes don't allow it.
There you go.
So we see a lot of this throughout the county where people have never had sidewalks, but because somebody else has one, now they want sidewalks. And you can't do it, and there's no money
to generate from that.
to generate it. So there has to be a point that the council has to look at for, this is a priority, this isn't a priority. When we can do this, we'll do it, but.
We have a planning and zoning commission also. We have the CDC. The problem, we can't get people to serve on these. I don't know if y'all run into that issue where, you know.
There's so many offices, you know, MUDs, RUDs, commissions, yeah.
The mud districts, you know, you know, everybody says, we need to get some people to serve. To me, they complain, but when you ask them, well, why don't you serve? You know, I mean, you know, when we started building the ballpark out there on Rogers Road, my kids played. I spent more time there than I did at my house after I got off of work. You know, but we had to get something for the kids because they couldn't play ball on one field. So, you know, we were fortunate enough to have some parents who were willing to help us, and it was just a lot of hard work. Now the county takes care of them. You know, they were built by parents. You know.
Those days are gone.
Yes, sir.
The day of parent helping.
Yes, sir.
So is a splash pad just a piece of concrete with a water
Put your
faucet?
spigots in it and
Spigot.
cool
It
stuff
works.
and rain trees.
Yeah.
And what does that cost? $500,000?
Oh, it's
And more.
more.
All right.
Gee.
We're talking about,
You could burn $1 million.
yeah, the swings, and I understand, and I didn't understand for a long time, but when I went to work after I retired from butchering, I went to work for the county, and the gentleman I was working with, we took care of the parks, the Willis Park, Gene Campbell out here, and we mowed them all that, and they had playground equipment. Well, the boss come out, and he said, y'all gotta pull up the equipment. I said, what do you mean? They said they want all the merry-go-round and the swings taken down. I said, why? Well, the old saying is, see you in court, and that's what it was. Some kid had got hurt, and so, you know, that was one of the things. You know, now when you order swings and that, it's gotta be up to specs, covered in plastic, and, you know, it ain't nothing cheap no more, like you just said.
Yeah, no kidding. So, how many employees are there in the city of Willis?
City of Willis, we have, about 40. So,
So have you had any incidents, or do you have thoughts on this question about where do you stand on giving benefits to same-sex couples?
I just don't have a comment on that, to be honest with you.
Well, I saw your comment, I just didn't know what question went to.
Yeah, no, you know, I put no comment, but I mean, you know, that's, everybody, I'm Polish, and, you know, I was brought up very strict. I got my hand slapped by the nuns quite a few times with a ruler. So,
The steel part.
you know, I figure whatever a person wants to, that's their prerogative, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Well, the question becomes, who's gonna pay for their prerogative, you know?
well, that's true there, I understand there.
If they do it on their own time, their own money, that's one thing.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's good, you know.
Okay.
In a similar light, where it says, please explain in detail why you support or oppose tax paid welfare and health benefits to illegal aliens and recent immigrants. And again, you said no comment, that was question number 17. So, would you, does that mean you support it if you're not against it?
No, I don't think I could support it, you know, I mean, they're over here, you know, and
This is illegal aliens
Yeah.
now, this is not legal.
Right.
Okay.
they're over here, and, you know, I know whoever's over here, they're working, or if they're illegal, they're getting this benefits that we're paying for, that the working people are paying for. So I can't see supporting, you know, anything like that, you know, to help. So, you know.
Okay. Another question I think that went unanswered was number 14, what is the current budget surplus? Is there one right now? Number 14.
Yes, sir. I can't give you the exact amount on it. I think we do have some for what we call a rainy day fund.
Ballpark.
Probably $1 million, pretty close. I'm not positive on it, okay?
Okay.
That was something that was started, a good, when Miss Council, y'all might know her, and Ruth Council, when she was mayor, we started it then, and as far as I know, it's still there, you know what I'm saying? Trying to keep a rainy day fund for emergencies or something, you know.
Council Shote was her son in office before your son was?
No. Oh, yeah.
Tax appraiser?
That was Waverly Council, that was her nephew.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mark Council, yes.
Mark, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, Billy.
Okay, what is the, I'm looking at the amount of revenue, what's the city's budget? What do y'all, how much y'all work with every year?
It's 5, this year it's right at 6 million.
6, okay. Do you, and I also see that there's about 32 million in debt load. What do you, where do you feel comfortable in allowing the city to indebt itself? Because at some point in time, the load on the budget becomes quite great. If you're being fiscally, good stewards of the funds, the idea is to spend as little on, percentages of loss than it is to put it out there and use that money. So you bring in about 6, you got a $32 million debt load, which is a pretty good liability on a $6 million income. Where do you think the city should say, I'm not going any higher than that?
Well,
There's a lot of infrastructure coming up.
right, and I understand it, but, well, excuse me, I'm gonna be honest with you, I wouldn't say we should go over 45, with the way current things are, but that's just me.
Sure.
I'm sure that things are gonna get to a certain way, a little bit better with everything that's starting to come. The state highway department tells you a lot of things that you can do and you can't do, so that when somebody comes in and wants to build, you gotta have, we've had a business that wanted to buy a piece of property there in town, but the state wouldn't let them have the parking lot run off on their road. So they just said, forget it, I mean, I don't have nothing against the highway department, but sometimes they can,
They're not always city friendly though.
they're kinda like the railroad.
Yeah.
So, the bonding debt is, I wish it wasn't nothing, but I don't think any small town is not gonna be able to go without a bonding debt is.
Gotcha.
James.
It looks like maybe we'll see the end of the COVID-19. I know President Biden is trying to extend masks and stuff like that, but basically you would think the injury that it's done to our jobs, our economy is waning and hopefully almost over. I'm wondering, were the citizens of Willis hit negatively in terms of their income, their jobs during this COVID? Did they have to go on unemployment? And along with that, if they did any of these city employees have to take time off without pay? And if so, is there going to be some sort of tax holiday to give the citizens a break because they've had no income, and yet are they still going to have to pay the full appraisal tax on their property and so forth? Or how are y'all going to handle that?
That, and I'll be honest with you, we haven't even really discussed that, as far as I'm aware, or anything been brought up. We did have some city employees that had to take time off because some of their family was exposed, but,
Do they still get paid during that
I feel
time?
like they got paid, nothing was said that they didn't, or none of them. I try to visit with the city employees a lot of times. Me working for the county now, I see a lot of the employees, and, I say, y'all are free to talk to me, anytime you want to. And I asked them if everything's okay, and they said, yeah, and I feel.
What about the citizens, your friends?
The
Did they
citizens,
suffer?
I haven't their biggest complaint right now is the broken water lines that they all had under their houses and that.
From the freeze, yeah.
But, in all honesty, nobody ever said nothing about, anything being without the COVID. So I'm sure, a couple of
Well,
restaurants and that.
Who employs the people of Willis besides the city? I mean,
Well,
who the other?
We've
law
got the
employees?
Pizza Shack, we've got the Mexican restaurants.
Well, those are all closed down.
Yeah, they were
Right.
closed down, and then when they created the curbside service, it's like one of the gentlemen that's outside the city, he said, I hate to say it, when we were able to go back and have the curbside, my business actually picked up, and so, it's kind of a catch-22 situation. You hear a good thing and then you hear a bad thing, I think the Mexican restaurant, Mr. Medina, I think he tried to keep all of his employees that he could,
Do you have any rental properties in Willis?
Me personally?
No, the city.
No. Oh, as far as people renting, yes, they do, it's quite a few.
Did the landlords have to go without money the past
That, I don't
year?
know, none of them said nothing if they did, you know. I haven't heard anything said.
If they did, would they have a sympathetic ear? You know, I own this building, they have not paid rent, I couldn't evict them, and you want me to still pay my full property tax?
I have to
What's
look at
that
it
about?
on an individual basis, I would,
But you would consider it?
yeah, in all honesty, you know.
Okay.
Uh,
A few years back, y'all had red light cameras. Were you involved in any of that and keeping them going and all the controversy that went along with those?
I was on there when they were put in. I mean, I wasn't on it, I got on after they were put in. The red light cameras, I wasn't too gung-ho on them, to be honest with y'all, okay? But I didn't understand some of it, so I'm gonna tell y'all what I had to do. I said, I need the chief to explain something to me. Okay, let's say here, I'm gonna just use this, if there was 1,200 tickets, they have a deal they go through, they watch it. Out of 1,200 tickets, it may be only 600. And I was one here in the city of Conroe when they had it. I got a ticket, they sent me the picture. And I couldn't deny it. I mean, I went through the red light, you know. I'm in the center of the intersection. You know, I'm not saying the red light camera was a good thing, but it did eliminate some problems, especially for us there at 1097 and the freeway. You know, it did cut down accidents, you know.
It did increase the revenue too.
Yes,
though,
yes.
Big time.
Yeah, for the police department.
Right.
And, you know, that
It was
big-
more about revenue than it was about.
Well, I guess, you know, to be honest with you, you know, it was kind of funny when, I think you heard when all the towns got sued, the night we had a group come to us, only one person lived in our town.
Right.
The rest of them, we had them from Itasca, they're everywhere,
Mhm.
so. you
Well,
know.
most of the people ticketed probably weren't residents of the
Yeah.
village, right?
I don't, yeah, well, you know, that's true.
You only had the one that did, he's the one that came to
Well, he
complain,
didn't even
right?
get a ticket though, that's the thing, because I thought he did, and to be honest with you, he lived down the street from me, and I asked him, and I said, yeah. He said, no, he said, I just, you know, so.
Okay, you know, talking about COVID and thinking about what we have now, two classes of people, folks that work for the government and folks that pay the government. And what it looks like is everybody that works for the government didn't miss a check, whether they came to work or stayed home and Zoomed or what. So, and things like the teachers and like our.
Or got a bonus
employees.
now, too.
Yeah, got a bonus, stay-at-home bonus.
Yeah.
So of your, what'd you say, 50 or 60 employees, did any of those get laid off and lose a check, or get laid off and get a
No,
check?
not I'm aware.
Everybody worked, huh?
Everybody was kept on the payroll.
Okay, okay. And in terms of what our government did to us here, we had lots of big governments and little governments that did things like the shutdowns and like the mask. Did Willis have any ordinances about either of those or other things?
They just asked and put up signs at, like at City Hall. Everything was handled through the drive-through, you know, when
Okay.
they required, when they did open it back up, they still asked them to wear the mask coming in.
And they throw you out if you didn't, or wouldn't let you in?
I don't think they'd throw you out. I didn't hear them about throwing anybody out, okay?
Just frowned at you, huh?
Well, I got frowned at, you know, so, you know, I mean, my wife made so many, ours, she started making them like this, and she made them for my granddaughters at school with Velcro, because the kids would grab them and the Velcro would come loose, so, you know, I guess she made 100 or more, and she didn't charge for nobody, she just give it to them, you know. I don't know if the mask is a good thing, you know. We were fortunate enough, I had both shots before the freeze. Our second shot was right before the freeze. Prime example, my son-in-law, he's a diabetic. he had to go to Hillcroft. He's been on wait list for the last 2 or 3 months. Well, he had to go to Hillcroft to get his first shot. He goes back April the 10th to get his second one. He has to go all the way
Across
down.
town,
You know,
yeah.
I'm glad this vaccine's available. You know, especially for, I'm an older person, you know, I'd hate to see that because
You're younger than the president, so
You're
I don't know
younger,
what you're
younger than
complaining
me.
about.
my wife had a lady friend that worked with her at school that come down with it. She was in the hospital for 45 days.
Jeez.
So, but she's doing good now. But she had a 93-year-old, her 93-year-old father lived with him. He didn't get sick.
Yeah.
So, you know, I see people not wearing a mask. I see them wearing a mask. So, you know, I try to wear it when I go in somewhere because I don't want to have, if somebody wants to gripe, they,
Yeah,
you know. So.
all right, thanks.
We have time for one more question.
It's 6:54.
Who's gonna ask you?
Guess who?
So the question was, will you vote to increase or reduce the annual city budget? Why? What changes will you propose in your city's budget? You said the budget is based on projected revenue. Are you familiar with zero-based budgeting?
No, no.
Okay, that's where you got different services and how can we pare this down to cost is least amount as we can get it. And this service here, and this service here, and this service here. And you start at zero and you work up to a certain point. Here, here. Then you bring all those together, it's here. Instead of the revenue coming in at here, when you can get it done for here. If you're going by revenue, projected revenue, okay, your budget, that means typically you're gonna spend up to that level. Or everybody in the city's gonna do that.
Or
Why not consider zero-based budgeting? That way you may find that you're gonna be saving a lot of money there doing that.
Never thought
And
about that,
it takes a lot of effort to do that, but it's like going out and getting 3 bids, you
Well,
know, from qualified contractors, right?
what we do now, each department basically makes a wish list, a list of their priorities, and then we kind of look to see what's a necessity and what what has to be replaced for safety or, you know, for OSHA qualifications and that, you know. And a lot of things get cut out, a lot of things, you know, get changed. So I understand, but that's a good
That's a
point.
form of zero-based.
Yeah, I
budgeting.
understand what you're saying. I
Yeah.
have to.
do they ever ask for less money? Any
Uh,
particular department come in and say, this year we're not asking for more, we want less.
No,
Well, see, zero-based budgeting is supposed to be everything they want, they have to justify.
you know, I think I've seen it when, we didn't give them no raise, not even a cost of living raise. And this year, we were able to give them a 3%, you know. I mean, that don't sound like a lot, but that covers a little bit of something, you know.
So your tax revenues went up during
Uh,
COVID?
No.
How'd you do the 3%?
Well, on the
increase?
budget, it just, we were fortunate enough to look at it and say, well, let's try to give them a 3% raise, you know, to kind of, because last year we didn't do it, the last budget, you know. So it was kind of a balanced deal,
So y'all don't base it on COLA or anything like that, cost of living?
you know. Well, 3% is the cost of living, what we call it.
Yeah.
You know, and that barely covers insurance or anything now, you know. So, to me, 3% is just the cost of living raise. You know, if you say I'm gonna give you 1%, that'd be kind of a slap in the face. You know, might not agree, but 1% is nothing.
It's a social security raise.
There.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay, so, as Pat said, we're kind of at the end of our
okay.
term. If you wanna say your closing words,
Well-
feel free, 4 or 5 minutes.
I appreciate y'all asking me to come. This is, I'll be honest with y'all, this is the first time in all my years that I've been asked to come in for something like this.
We asked everybody that
Okay.
was in a contested race.
And I'm no rocket scientist, so I answered everything to my best ability and honesty. That's something my parents brought up in me. You know, my dad raised me because my mother passed away when I was 10 years old. And I went to work in the grocery store when I was 13. He said, you can go to work, but you're gonna go to school. Yeah, I said, okay. So, you know, I have enjoyed living in the town of Willis. I have enjoyed trying to be a good citizen and also a representative of the town. You know, like I said, when I got out of the meat business when I turned 66, Mr. Meta offered me a job about 2 months after. He said, you can come to work for me at the county. He said, you ain't gonna make a lot of money, but you ain't gonna kill yourself, you know. So, you know, I've enjoyed working there. I'm gonna try to work as long as my health lets me. A lot of people quit working when they get a certain age, but I've seen some good friends that they quit and they run out of things to do around the house. And it seems like, no offense to anybody, but it seems like your health goes the opposite way.
No doubt.
So we have
What do you do
Netflix
for the
now.
county?
I was over a crew till the new commissioner come in, and I got moved. Now I go pick up stuff for our shop, whatever he needs. I guess you kind of call it operation maintenance guy, you know.
Precinct 2,
No precinct one.
Precinct 1,
Right.
matter, okay.
Yeah, you
So
know,
is that much change from that matter to the new matter?
no, you know, I think y'all are all business people. Anytime somebody new, they've got ideas. You know, he just asked me if I do this. I pick up, I go to the treasurer's office for him, and, you know, whatever he needs, you know, I pick up stuff, the parks, when he's gotta go to the bank and that, you know. It's just, I guess he feels like I'm probably the honest soul, you know, and I appreciate the confidence, you know. Like I said, Robert's, he owned a feed store and he owned the feed store now, you know, and he seems like a real good man. I knew his dad, and my dad and his dad worked together a long time. My dad was a carpenter, you know. But again, I want to say thank you for y'all time. I appreciate what y'all are doing. You know, I'm sorry I had so much trouble. I'm no phone computer guy, you know, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I've had a flip phone up until recently. And me and this iPhone still trying to get along, and we don't get along.
That's all right.
Well, we appreciate you
Appreciate
coming
you
in.
coming. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you for your time.